I thought I'd do a video on cheap versus expensive pellets and what the differences typically are, and if there's exceptions to the rule that all cheap pellets are bad. Now, Guns UK31 did do a good video on this, but I do disagree with him in some areas, so I thought I'd do my own. But he's got a very good channel, so you should check him out. And for the most part, everything he says I agree with. It's just that because I'm kind of a lot more into, you know, plinking for fun in the back garden than proper shooting. Why I use a brake barrel, not a PCP, and everything else, is probably why I have this sort of opinion. So if you were doing much more professional sort of shooting with a PCP air rifle, then I think his points are very, very valid. But for me, I do like cheap pellets, so we'll get into that. But there are exceptions to that, it's not completely true. So what I have here is SMK Spitfires, which are the really cheap ones. You get these in both domed and pointed, but I've been told the pointed ones are a bit crap. So, although I haven't tried them, I'd go for the domed personally. Tumbo, on one of his videos or in one of the comments, said that the pointed one can misfire with these. And here we have some H&M Rabbit Magnums. There's lots of very good H&M pellets and Bisleys and whatever else, but I thought these would be a good one to demonstrate the quality of the pellets. So if I just get both the tins open for you, you see there's the H&Ms and the Spitfires I have here. Right, so hopefully immediately this will come up on the video. You'll see these are shinier because these are cleaner. These are dirtier pellets. One thing that always seems to be a consistent rule is the cheap pellets are generally dirtier than more expensive pellets. You know, the more expensive pellets are cleaner, they look like they've been polished, which means you have to clean the gun less when you shoot them through because they cause less fouling in the barrel. So if I pick one of these up, one thing you'll notice with these, maybe it might be a bit hard to see on the camera, is that the quality control is a lot more inconsistent on cheap pellets. Now here's one of these Spitfires, if the autofocus focuses on it. Now this pellet looks pretty good, pretty consistent. It's got its little skirt on there, it's got the bit inside. You can see there's a bit where the metal's a bit sort of chipped on the inside. And that's the sort of quality control we're on about when we come to cheap pellets. See, this pellet again is different on the inside, but around the outside this pellet looks good. But you'll get lots of these where the skirts are a bit squashed, or you know, something's a bit bigger than one of the other pellets, and again they're a bit dirtier. Now if we get one of these H&Ns, you'll see the pellet is pretty much perfectly formed, and that's one of the big differences you'll get with a high quality, more expensive pellet than the cheap one. But the more expensive pellets are just, you know, seems to be forged better, however you want to say it, moulded better. You know, and much cleaner. They look a lot more refined. So if you're doing shooting, you're going to get far less outliers of expensive pellets because they're cleaner and consistent in shape. But saying that, for a pack of 200 of these it's about £7. For a pack of 500 of these it's about £5. So you can see how, you know, these are much more economical. Especially with these, I find with these Spitfires, if I buy them on eBay, there's normally a bulk offer, you know, like buy 4 tins, get the 5th free. You know, and it gets better and better as you buy more in bulk. So these are the pellets I really bulk up on, because I don't mind cleaning my airgun. I don't do it all that often. I abuse my airgun quite a lot, but it hasn't failed me in that regard. And these Spitfires are cheap. So what I normally do with these is I use them for shooting spinning targets, where I find often the higher quality, more expensive pellets tend to be a bit heavier. Nearly all, I know that's not really true for all of them, but I found a lot of the more expensive pellets, because they're formed better, they're heavier, and that means that they're actually less effective with a low energy air rifle at, you know, knocking spinning targets around. You want the higher velocity ones. And these are great for stockpiling because they're so cheap. So I have a mix of pellets. I don't just exclusively use cheap ones. What I do is you know, mostly bulk up on these, and then I'll try different types of pellets like these. And then I've always got these as my backup, you know, when I want to do everyday shooting in the garden, you know, just shooting a board, something like that, shooting a spinning target, shooting rotten fruit. These are great for that, because I find, obviously, although there's always a bit of human error, if I'm shooting from a rest and you're shooting something like this, you'll get a very tight small group. You know, you're almost getting one pellet through the same pellet hole, if you're being good enough. With these, even if you're shooting from a rest, you know, everything's perfect, you're going to get a bit of more of a spread. Now, if you're very good and, you know, you're lucky in getting a good lot of almost consistent pellets of these, you'll get probably, these will all fit within a 5p size, these will all fit within a 10p size, maybe a 50p size. So it's not that, and that's about 10 to 20 yards range, so it's not all that much to it. Like I said, I don't know if the Spitfires are the exception to the rule, because I know lots of people have had really, really bad experiences with other brands of cheap pellets. But for me, my idea is if you're shooting in the garden for fun, just use cheap pellets, as long as you find a brand where they don't misfire and they're pretty consistent in quality, even if they're not always great, you know that the quality isn't awful. And if you're shooting, you know, as for a hunting thing or more competition type stuff, use really good pellets like H&N or Bisley's. I hear Crossman do a lot of good pellets as well, so I need to get some of those to try. But, you know, for me, because I shoot what's a gas ram, which is very similar to a Springer, in the garden for fun, I would rather much use really cheap pellets, because I'm not really trying to prove anything with a lot of my videos. I'm just shooting it for the fun of it. And cheap pellets do me fine for fun, and they're a lot more economical. So yeah, SMK Spitfires, the dome type, are very good. But obviously these do win in terms of accuracy, pellet consistency and everything. But to be honest, if I only had the choice of one type of pellet and I had to think about the money, I would go for the dome Spitfires. And as I said, I don't know if other cheap pellets are as good as the Spitfires. I've just had good experiences with these because I know what I'm getting when I order them. But anyway, that's my take on cheap versus expensive pellets. You basically get what suits you with what type of shooting you're doing, not, you know, just cast a general rule over everything. Alright, I hope that's been helpful, and as I said, check out Guns UK31's channel because he does do some very good videos.